were having, they were trying to strike them. Jammu primarily was one. But then what I hear from what you are saying that at night they attempted to strike Delhi with Hatab 2 and being intercepted, etc. Obviously now it required to go up the escalation ladder because so far we've been attempting to keep everything restrained, well, non-escalatory, but it's time now. There's no more restraint and no more non-escalatory. Not, I wouldn't even call it tit for tat. Just give it back and give it back in measures that Pakistan
All right.
realizes it that it's too much. You can't be doing it. I think Pakistan doesn't seem to realize, and we have to hit at the source of terror. And the source of terror is the Pakistan army. We have to make sure that all assets of the Pakistan army have to be hit, and none better than where it hurts the most. And this, the airfields was one, the nerve center, Rawalpindi, yet another one which needs to be hit, so that the Pakistanis realize it that if they try and go up the escalator ladder, because we attempted to hit the locations of the terrorists. Those 9 locations for those 25 minutes and 24 missiles, and that was, we thought the Operation Sindoor was all over. But unlike that, when they struck India, it was they struck India. And therefore, when they've struck India, now they get it back. Even for the first 2 nights, I thought we were quite patient. We ought not to have been so patient. But notwithstanding that, since it's all over, we tried to show our patience. But now, obviously, the patience run out, and Pakistan needs to be paid back, not in the same coin, much higher. And now the time has come to
So
give
there are
it
at
back
least
in.
3 Pakistani Air Force air bases that India has hit, including the Noor Khan Air Base, one of the biggest in Pakistan. So Shan Sareen, what do you make of what's been going on over these last 4-5 hours? Is this now definitely both sides climbing up the escalation ladder? The attempt by Pakistan to try and send a missile to Delhi, that is a serious escalation. How do you think that is being viewed in New Delhi? We believe there's going to be a briefing by the armed forces in the next few minutes, but what's your assessment?
Zaka, I would imagine that the Pakistani attempt to fire a missile at Delhi uh, would have really, let's say, would have lifted some of the restraints that the Indians have been putting on themselves over the last 2 days. For 2 nights, we've been having these kind of attacks taking place, and the Indian response has been very, very carefully calibrated. So, if the Pakistanis were sending in drones and some light missiles, the Indians were responding similarly. The only difference between the two sides was that the Indian retaliation to Pakistani attacks was a little more successful than what the Pakistanis were attempting to do. The same thing happened last night. And then tonight, I think the Pakistanis really tried to up the ante. First, they tried to attack Jammu and another 26 places, and then they launched these missiles at Delhi. And I imagine that that preposterous and ridiculous statement of their DG ISPR, who, who's the son of an internationally designated terrorist, incidentally. His father is an internationally proscribed UN designated terrorist, right? For his association with Osama bin Laden. That that guy is the DG ISPR. Now he says that 6 missiles were launched from Adampur, on 5 of them on Amritsar and one on Adampur itself. So from Adampur, we launched a missile in Adampur and one in Amritsar, say 5 in Amritsar, to kill 6. How stupid can he be? But
Yeah.
he is. So clearly, I think from the Indian point of view, there has been this messaging going across that listen, we are giving you off ramps, take them. If you're not going to take them, then we are going to hit you back. Now, I would say that we haven't really gone up the escalation ladder. Because look at it this way, the Pakistanis have been trying to hit our air bases. They've been trying to hit Pathankot. They've been trying to hit Avantipura. They've been trying to hit Amritsar. They've tried to hit a number of other Adampur and other air bases, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that they've not tried to hit our air bases, just they've not been successful. So what have we done? We have also hit their air bases. We've used drones, and I'm now going by Pakistani accounts because we still don't have any Indian official accounts. The Pakistanis have claimed that the attacks on some of their air bases were from air to surface. which means that it were Indian aircraft which were firing those missiles from the air. And that is something which has been done in the past as well. So it is not, in that sense, a very significant escalation. We haven't as yet used ballistic missiles, surface to surface missiles. So we have also kept under a certain threshold so far. Just that our attacks have been a lot more successful. Okay. And theirs have failed. Now, you cannot launch an assault on me and then claim the failure of your assault as a virtue and play victim. I'm sorry, that does not work. You launched an attack, it failed. I now am launching a counter attack, which seems to have gone down fairly well. But let's not kid ourselves. We are now going to be climbing up the escalation ladder because the Pakistanis are going to try and come back at us with full force. And let's see, the next few hours, maybe this day will be a very critical day. Let's also not kid ourselves, Zaka, and I think we should be prepared. Our people should be prepared that there will be things which will get through our defenses. There will be casualties, there will be damage, there will be loss, and we should man up and take it all.
Okay.
And then go and
I just want
then go and take some more.
Yeah, I just want to bring in
a
word.
For entering into that phase.
Yeah, a word that top government sources have told our investigations editor Manoj Gupta. We can break that as well. This is a message, and I guess this will be a message that will be conveyed by the defense folks who will be briefing the media, I believe, at 5:45 on the south lawns of the South Block. This is what top government sources have told Manoj Gupta, that Pakistan should try and understand that all that India is doing is commitment to a proportionate response, and that they should stop now. Pakistan should stop now. Otherwise, the next time India will have to be forced to climb the escalation ladder. So Pakistan needs to get the message and needs to stop now. It needs to stop sending all of these ballistic missiles. The Fatah 2 was attempted to hit Delhi, but it got intercepted in the skies over Haryana. Let me also try and go back to our reporters before I go back to the guests. Look, over the last 6 hours or so, there has been an attempt by Pakistan through drones, through ballistic missiles, to try and hit India at multiple places, multiple air stations. Let's try and go full frame to that. Multiple air stations have been targeted in Jammu. Jammu Air Base particularly seems to be one area where the Pakistanis have been trying for the last 3 nights to try and cause some damage. We've had drone attacks last night in Srinagar. We've also had an attempt to try and take down the Avantipura Air Base, also in Amritsar, the air base there, as well as, of course, the air base that we have in Haryana. But in response, India has attacked at least 3 air bases. 2 of them are major air bases for Pakistan. The Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi, one of the biggest that Pakistan has. The Murid Air Base in Chakwal, which is also nearby. Both of these, of course, are right in the heart of Punjab. Then there is the Rafiki Air Base, a smaller one in Shorkot in southern Punjab. And then the Sukur Airport, which is used both for civilian and defense purposes in Sindh. So both in Punjab and in Sindh, there have been major attacks by the Indian armed forces. We're given to understand that at least some of these have been surface-to-air missiles, and some of these have been air-to-surface missiles, so they've been launched from a fighter jet. We'll try and get further information of that, but this is how it is looking right now. If Akash and let's get a sense of who are the other reporters that we have on the ground. We'll go across to Akash in just a moment, but it has been a night of heavy exchange of fire, drones, and missiles between India and Pakistan. Pakistan climbing up the escalation ladder in a dramatic sort of upping of the ante, as it were, soon after the announcement by the International Monetary Fund of a tranche of $1 billion to Pakistan as part of an agreed-upon package of $7 billion over a period of 3 or 4 years. Now Pakistan tried to send a ballistic missile towards India, intercepted in the skies over Sirsa in Haryana. It was directed at Delhi. Imagine if that missile had been successful and there was damage here in Delhi. That would have been a serious escalation of the situation between India and Pakistan, as it were. It seems to be that the Pakistani military leadership is being given a very solid and definitive message by the Indian military leadership. Back off now. do not escalate. There you go. I want to once again bring you up to speed. So the smaller blasts that you're seeing on the map, Islamabad, Narowal, Lahore, these are all drone attacks that India has managed to pierce the Pakistani air defense and hit some of these places, including Sheikhpura, etc. But the airbase attacks that have been hit, those are missiles. Those are medium-range missiles that India has used. Like I said, in response, matching Pakistani aggression, Pakistan trying even with their ballistic missiles to pierce India's air defenses and hit some key defense installations as well as civilian installations here in India. This is India's response, and India is also sending out a message to Pakistan: please refrain from climbing further up the escalation ladder. All right, let's try and play out some of those visuals. I believe we have visuals from the Noor Khan base that was struck by India's missiles. Let's try and play out that video, and I'll come back to our guests and our reporters.
और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे बिल्कुल घर के सामने अभी एक जहाज गुजरा है और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे बिल्कुल घर के सामने अभी एक जहाज गुजरा है और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे.
Right, let me go across to Akash. Akash, just bring our viewers up to speed if they're just tuning in at 5:45 this morning. It's been a very, very hot night between India and Pakistan. Multiple locations in Pakistan have been hit, including at least 3 air bases. Pakistan has tried to dramatically escalate, go up the escalation ladder. Pakistan has tried to hit, among other places, even the national capital by launching a ballistic missile. It has been intercepted successfully by India's air defenses. It's been a night where they have tried drones as well as missiles. What are top defense sources telling you, Akash? What is going on in these last 4 or 5 hours?
Right, Zaka, first of all, in some time from now, we are going to have a press conference from the armed forces where we'll be getting some sort of details of the sort of developments that have happened throughout the night. But at this point in time, in fact, in Jammu, we have been hearing multiple sounds, Zaka. We have been told that Air Force Station Jammu was on target. Initially, it was thwarted, but then, the sound is still on. We have been told that air defense guns are very much active. As far as, developments in the night are concerned, so we have been seeing major escalation from Pakistan where after, last evening, in fact, day before yesterday and last evening too, they have tried drones and missiles through different military stations here in India, military infrastructure. Jammu is one prime target where they have been, in fact, Zaka, you can hear the sounds as well, the air defense guns where, Jammu is on target, and again we are hearing these sounds where, our sources are telling us that Air Force Station was on target, but it was thwarted. Something rocket propelled is being sent. It can be a missile, it can be a UAV as well. We have been told, and we know that how they are using SH-15 as well. But yes, SH-15, there is less possibility that it can come here, even when they are bringing it to that bulge near Akhnur. At this point in time, while we talk about other places, so we have been told that crucial military infrastructure is on target. Of course, we will not tell the location because of limitations, but they are, targeting our crucial air assets. None of them till now is successful. They tried, attacking Delhi as well, but it was thwarted. As far as Pakistan and its assets are concerned, Zaka, we have been told that Noor Khan Air Base, one of their important bases in Rawalpindi, very close to the headquarters, and in fact, very close to the important infrastructure, was hit last night. Successful hit. In fact, their air assets were targeted, and military aircraft and transport aircraft both are there in the particular air base. We know that how they have the C-130 transport aircraft in that. They are operating some sort of drones from there. These facilities were hit by the Indian Armed Forces, including very high value target of the AD systems and radars. Shorkot Air Base, that is in Punjab, there we have a JF-17 of Pakistan. It was hit, and in fact Murid Air Base, very important Murid Air Base, they are operating their drones from Murid Air Base as well. It was hit. At this point in time, Zaka, they are trying multiple locations, not in Jammu Jammu and Kashmir, but in Haryana, in Punjab, in Rajasthan as well. And these attempts are being thwarted at this point in time. Air defense is very much active. We are still checking. We will be going with the reliable information only. And in some time from now, Zaka, armed forces are going to address the press conference. And meanwhile, we are hearing these constant sounds, possibly of the air defense guns, here in Jammu, because Jammu is on target, Zaka.
All right. Akash, any idea who in the Indian Army or the Defense Forces are going to be briefing? So far in these last 3 days, we've had the Foreign Secretary and the two young officers, the women officers from the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. But this seems to be somebody else. Any word you're picking up on who is going to be briefing and why the need for this sudden early morning briefing? Because clearly things seem to have ratcheted up a couple of notches overnight in the last 4 or 5 hours.
We are assuming that someone from the IDS would be briefing IDS integrated defense staff. In fact, the coordinated command is there, and someone from IDS would be briefing, because these inputs will be of the Air Force, Indian Army, and the other forces as well. Also, we have been told that there can be a different level representation. Maybe someone from the MEA can also be a part. There is no clarity, but Zaka, as far as this briefing is concerned, so it was important, given the fact that there is a lot of narrative on social media where not just DG ISPR addressing the press conference is putting several sort of information that is not true from Indian side. We have their social media handles that are propagating some sort of narrative, and that's the reason why there was a need for this urgent press conference in the morning. Also because of the sort of operations that have happened throughout the night. We know that how Indian forces have retaliated to the aggression of Pakistan, where they have been trying to attack the military infrastructure here in India from last 2 days. Last night also, there were retaliation, there were operations, but India did not hit them.
Akash, I believe the briefing has begun. My colleague Arunima is telling us that if we can get either her, if we can get a live feed or a phone or an audio feed of the briefing, let's try and go across to her. If somebody can just put her through on the phone. Let's try and make sense of the story for our viewers. The briefing has begun by the Indian Army officials. We're not sure if this is on camera, if this is on record, or this is an off-record briefing, but certainly senior officials of the Indian Army are briefing on the lawns of South Block, is what we're given to understand, to try and get a sense of what exactly is going on here. If we can please connect to Arunima. I've been asking for the last 5 minutes to our assignment desk. Please connect our reporters on the ground. Let's try and make sense of what the story is for our viewers who may be tuning in just now at 5:50 in the morning. It's been a very hot night between India and Pakistan. You can see those pictures. India has hit multiple locations in Pakistan, from Islamabad to Lahore to Rawalpindi. The Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi, one of the biggest that Pakistan has been hit. Can we please put through some reporters to try and make sense of this story for our viewers? There is, of course, a briefing that is happening right now by top Indian Army officials in South Block, on the lawns of the South Block. They will be giving us an assessment of what is going on, what has been going on in these last 4 or 5 hours between India and Pakistan. So the attempt has now gone up a notch from drones. It is scaled up now to missiles. All right, let's go across to Anvit, who is on the phone line. Anvit, where are you and what are you hearing?
Hi, Zaka. Morning. We are in Jaisalmer, and they are observing a complete blackout. They had been shut all lights and vehicular movement from 6 p.m. till 6 p.m. in the morning, and even now vehicular movement has been restricted. What we are reporting, from where we are reporting, is 70 to 80 kilometers from the border, because the last village, that is Ramgarh, beyond that, army is not allowing any civilian movement or any any media movement as well. So we are reporting from here, but last to last night, even from here, we could clearly see the flares in the skies, and we could clearly see the ammunition coming in from Pakistan. But last night had been relatively peaceful. No visuals in the sky. Skies had been clear since last night. But yes, police have been making patrols, heavy patrols. In fact, we had also been hearing sirens, because on the forward areas yesterday, also in Jaisalmer and in Barmer, the sirens were being played out, and some drone sightings were also done. Following that, sirens had been played out, but so far as the ammunition is concerned, nothing has landed into Jaisalmer in the city side. However, some developments were
We'll come back to you. Aman is also joining us. Aman, I believe there's a briefing by senior Indian Army officials that's going on in South Block. What are you hearing? Pakistan has shut off its airspace now for the next 6 hours till noon. I believe there's going to be a further escalation by Pakistan in the next few hours. But India has hit multiple air bases from the Noor Khan Air Base to the Sukur Airport in Rawalpindi. Multiple air bases have been targeted by surface-to-air missiles. Let us know what is going on. What are you hearing this Saturday morning?
See, Zaka, what we are hearing from Indian government sources is that Pakistan has launched its counter strike to Operation Sindoor. On May 7th, we saw India strike through Operation Sindoor, and the officials were saying last evening also that these drone attacks, which were launched by Pakistan over the last 2 days, were more of an intelligence gathering mechanism to assess our air defense capabilities. This seems to be the real attack coming from Pakistan. Of course, our air defense system is engaging all these offenses which are being launched by Pakistan. As you said, they have closed down their airspace for the next 5 to 6 hours. Seems that Pakistan is trying to now hit our air bases and they are trying to launch missiles. That is what we are hearing. The Indian government briefing is about to start. It was to start at 5:45, but it has still not started in the lawns of South Block. Shortly, Indian officials will be briefing us on what exactly is happening. But it seems that this is Pakistan's response. And India is very, very clearly saying that this response is very, very escalatory in nature. We are warning Pakistan to stop this, or India's response to this will be even more severe. Pakistan seems to be escalating the situation, Dhaka, and that is what the Indian government sources are saying so far. We'll await the official press briefing, which is to happen in the next few minutes, Dhaka.
Okay, Anshul is also joining us from Pathankot. What's happened there overnight? I believe there was multiple drones flying over the Pathankot airbase overnight. What is the latest that you can share with us, Anshul?
So yes, specifically over the last half an hour to 45 minutes, there has been at least 30 to 35 loud explosions that we have heard ourselves over here. I'll just try and move out of the frame and try and give a sense as how close is enemy at this point in time. The hills that you are seeing over there, these hills actually belong to the Pakistan. So we are, in fact, Pathankot is very, very close to the international border, and from this direction itself, there were several projectiles that were launched from the side of Pakistan, but our air defense systems have made sure that all these projectiles that were launched from that end were actually controlled in the air itself. They were blasted in the air itself. Nothing untoward has been reported till now. The Pathankot airbase is absolutely safe, is what we are being told. The situation is still tense because the blackouts are still continuing. There is no electricity across Pathankot over the last 4 hours. The blackout was supposed to end at 4 a.m. It is still continuing over here. There is constant announcements, and there is constant patrolling that is being done by the local police over here, trying to give out this message that people do not need to panic, do not need to step out their houses. They just need to follow the SOPs, and everything will be fine. But yes, India's air defense system proving yet again that these Pakistani missiles, these Pakistani drones.
Akash is also there with us. Akash, I believe that off-camp briefing has been cancelled. Now we'll have a regular briefing at 10 a.m. Any idea on why that off-camp briefing has been cancelled, and what's going on? What's the word you're picking up from MOD headquarters?
The operations are ongoing. Situation is evolving, and that's the reason why they have in fact they have cancelled the briefing. We have been learning, Zaka. In fact, this briefing will be happening after 10 a.m. we have been told, and this will be a regular briefing since we are hearing about several attacks at different places throughout India. Specifically, they are targeting Pathankot, Jammu. In fact, I'm learning about some attempts in Jaisalmer as well once again, but then we'll wait for the confirmation. They are firing ballistic missiles at places We have been told that there are places where they have been, firing ballistic missiles. Artillery is very much on, at the LC, and situation is evolving. That's the reason why MOD officials may have, cancelled the briefing. But we have been learning. In fact, Pallavi is talking about the briefing that is going to happen at 10 a.m. Zaka, this is the major escalation. We have been talking about it, how India retaliated, and then once again in the morning time, in the daytime now, the attack is on, which is in fact, going towards a major escalation, a war possibly. But then at this point in time, Indian armed forces are very much ready and capable, and they, we have been in fact told that air defense systems are very much active, and in Jammu, in fact, there are attempts at least. There are 5 to 6 attempts in the last half an hour, we have been told, in Jammu, but all of these attempts are thwarted. And in fact, drone attack is there, missile attack is there, and rocket propulsion is something that officers are talking about, possibly a missile when we say rocket propulsion. But Jammu is not the only place. In Srinagar also we have heard sound, and in fact, apart from Jammu and Srinagar, we have been told that in Udhampur also sirens are on. So at this point in time, while India has given it back to Pakistan at 3 different air bases of Pakistan, it seems that Pakistan is once again trying to attack the military infrastructure, specifically the Air Force stations and the air bases. Possibly they want to attack on airstrips or the the air assets that we have at the Air Force stations. But yes, an official word is very much expected, because we have been in fact told about several other things. And then I'm hearing the constant sound, Zaka. I want to stress on this particular sound, because Jammu is one prime target. So Jammu is very close to the international boundary, international border. In the initial day, we have seen that how a barrage of drones were launched towards Jammu, and this time around we are learning about missiles. I'm also trying to check the environment. In fact, the clouds where I'm unable to see anything. Very close to the airport I'm standing, and at that particular place only we are seeing. In fact, we are seeing this sort of action where we have been told that missiles are there. Missiles are coming towards the Jammu Air Force Station and the airport. Both are in close vicinity. Also, other than Jammu and Srinagar, we have been told that there is a target in Haryana. I'll of course not name the location, but there is a target in Haryana as well, which has been in fact thwarted. Missile was launched. We know that how a missile was launched towards Delhi as well, the national capital. They clearly want to escalate it further. It was categorically mentioned by the Indian Armed Forces that we don't want to escalate, and that's why we are not targeting a civilian population. But we have seen that how last night in Firozpur a civilian population was targeted. Several individuals were hit because of this sort of target where
Akash,
they
just give me a moment.
hit one civilian.
So the big story happening right now is there's an off-cam briefing by senior officials of the Indian Army. They're saying that there has been retaliatory action that's been carried out. The LOC has been hot for the last 4 or 5 hours. In fact, more than that, it's been hot since last night. But what has happened overnight is Pakistan has now climbed up the escalation ladder from drones, which did not have any explosives. They've now notched it up to drones with explosives. And last night, they have now notched it up one rung further in the escalation ladder, trying to hit India through ballistic missiles, including one, a Fatah-2, which was launched in the direction of Delhi. Thankfully, that's been intercepted in the skies over Sirsa. India has retaliated. India has responded to the Pakistani escalation. India has managed to hit at least 3 different air bases in Noor Khan, of course, which is one of the biggest air bases of the Pakistan Air Force. They've also hit an air base in Chakwal, a civil-cum-military airport in Sukur in Sindh. So multiple military installations and civil installations as well have been hit. It's been a combination of drone attacks plus missile attacks. I also want to get more information at 10 a.m. The Foreign Secretary will be briefing. Remember, the last 3 days, it's been the Foreign Secretary along with the 2 young women officers of the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. So that briefing is going to happen at 10 a.m. That's going to be on the record. Right now, what is happening is an off-record briefing by senior officials of the Indian Army. Let's go across to more reporters who are also joining us. Ishan is joining us from Srinagar. Ishan, again, looks like it's been a very hot night in Srinagar as well as in other parts of the Kashmir Valley.
Well, Zaka, right. This is for the first time also that drones came to Srinagar, Avantipura and Baramulla. Multiple, blasts were heard, and the defense system ensured that none of the air bases was hit. The target was to hit Avantipura Air Base and Srinagar Air Station. We should understand that Srinagar airport is not just a civilian airport. It's a military army, beg your pardon, Air Force station. So that's why they try to hit the crucial infrastructure. And even 5 or 10 minutes back, we heard in Srinagar, people are waking up to the two loud blasts that were heard, possibly intercepting some kind of missiles or some kind of projectile being fired towards possibly airports in Srinagar or Avantipura. These are the main two bases. But apart from this, we have been learning that they tried to carry out, drone-based attacks last night on the India's military infrastructure, particularly in Baramulla, which acts as a front line for the line of control. So they might have tried to hit the Indian Army's main assets in Baramulla, Srinagar, and Avantipur. But that has been repulsed. What we have been given also to understand is that security around these vital installations has been doubled, and it's amply clear that they are going to attack these vital installations to basically stop the militaries or air forces advance. If at all that happens with Pakistan. But
All right.
during overnight, there has been massive shelling that has taken place both on the line of control in Kashmir and also other areas of Kashmir where people have already left their houses and left for safer destinations.
All right, Aman is also joining us. Aman, what's the word you're hearing from top government sources? It's been a very, very hot night, escalatory action by Pakistan. India responding with both drone attacks as well as surface-to-air missiles. What are you learning from top government sources? I believe the Foreign Secretary will be having that briefing at 10 a.m. for an official word. But what are you picking up on what an escalatory night it's been between Friday night and Saturday morning?
Well, absolutely, Zaka. It's been a big escalation, first from Pakistan and a big response from India. That is what we're hearing from top government sources, especially India's attack on 3 air bases of Pakistan, mainly the Noor Khan air base, which has in Rawalpindi, which is a major response by India, because this is now India firing missiles at Pakistan after the relentless 2 days. Pakistan has sent 300 to 400 drones the previous night, and yesterday also these drone attacks have been incessant on our forward, cities, and all major cities of India are now on high alert, because there is also news that Pakistan fired a missile towards India, which has been intercepted at Sirsa. So Pakistan is really escalating the situation. This seems to be their main attack in the last 2 days. Maybe, as Indian officials were saying at the briefing yesterday, that those attacks were mainly to gauge India's air defense system capability and gather intelligence. This seemed to be the main attack which has happened last night, and though it has been foiled to a larger extent, and we'll get details of that at 10 a.m. when the Foreign Secretary and the government brief us on what exactly has happened. But so far it seems Pakistan is escalating the situation. Indian government sources are saying that Pakistan should stop, because if it doesn't stop, the Indian response is going to be even more fierce. India is ready to go to any lengths to protect its assets, to protect its territory from such missile and drone attacks by Pakistan, and by hitting Rawalpindi. India has shown the capability it has to hit in the heart of Pakistan. We have seen these visuals on the screen as well. Indian government sources are very clear that India is not going to step back if Pakistan is going to do such big retaliations that we have seen since last night, and big air bases of Pakistan being hit by India. We'll get more details. I think the official press briefing, Zaka, has also been put off for now, because the operation is ongoing. It's a very evolving situation, and the next 2 to 3 hours could be very crucial in determining which way this escalation is now going, Zaka.
Arunima is also joining us from South Block. Arunima, I believe there's been some off-rec information that's been given to reporters. Who was briefing, and sorry, what have they said? What is the information that you have?
Yeah, so this was supposed to be an official briefing, to respond to all that DGISPR has said. But what we were told that since air operations have begun again for the last 1 hour or so, air operations have begun again, even though on ground, this is what we learned, that on the LOC, the ground fire that we are hearing, that has become intermittent firing for now. So the entire focus is on the sky. And because of those ongoing air operations, the briefing has been delayed now. The briefing is now expected at 10. But what we can confirm is that, South Block is carrying on retaliatory attacks after Pakistan carried out its misadventure at 26 locations last night as well. And these are air operations mainly that are going on. DGISPR and Pakistani officials claim that Pathankot and Jammu Air bases in India were targeted, but there's no confirmation that is coming in from South Block at this stage about whether Pathankot or Jammu Air Base was targeted at all, because we have seen over the last 2 days also such attempts were made and the attempts were thwarted. India, however, is confirming that three Pakistani air bases have been successfully targeted as a retaliatory action after Pakistan's misadventure. At around 10 o'clock, we're expecting a detailed list of the overnight operations that have been carried out. One must emphasize that what we are being told is that the operation is still ongoing. As we are speaking, the air operations are still on.
So here's what we know, that Pakistan, in a dramatic manner, tried to escalate the attack on India's military installations. I have a list of places that have been hit overnight, or at least the attempt was made by Pakistan to try and hit. It attempted to attack Udhampur, which is a large base that we have. Pathankot Air Base, one of the forward air bases of the Indian Air Force. The Jammu Air Force Station has also been one of the targets of the attack. Sirsa, where the skies above Sirsa is where the Fatah 2, the ballistic missile, was intercepted and brought down. That, we're given to understand, was headed in the direction of Delhi. So it's a major and dramatic escalation by Pakistan over the last 6 hours or so. I suspect it was after the announcement by the International Monetary Fund that they are releasing that tranche of $1 billion as part of that agreed package for $7 billion over a period of 3 or 4 years. Let me ask you, Arunima, so in response to this, it's clear that Pakistan has escalated and tried to attack India's Air Force and Army bases. India has responded too. Is there any word you're picking up officially from Defense Ministry officials or from senior army sources as to what are the places that India has hit in Pakistan in response to what Pakistan has tried to do?
So before that, Zaka, since you mentioned that, from Sirsa, the target seemed to be Delhi. So what we heard from South Block is that Delhi is absolutely safe, that there was no attempt that was even close to the national capital. So that is one thing that South Block has made absolutely clear, that there's no problem for the national capital. However, on the Pakistani side, the report that we are getting is that Islamabad, Lahore and their air assets were targeted and successfully targeted is what we are being told. However, they're refraining from going ahead and giving an official word or official coordinates, because they do want the foreign secretary and the two officials who we have been hearing over the last 3 days between 10 and 10:30. That official briefing is expected, and they do want to give out the specific names and air bases at that press conference. But indications that yes, we have carried out retaliatory attacks in the Pakistani capital, in Rawalpindi and also in Lahore, and they're emphasizing that in spite of all the bombastic claims that are coming in from DGISPR, none of the Indian air bases have been breached. They're all safe, and the national capital, the misadventure that they wanted for the national capital, was stopped way ahead. So Indian air defense is still working, but once again to emphasize that the air operations are still on.
All right, so here are the military installations that Pakistan has tried to attack over the last 6 hours. There was an attempt at the Udhampur station, at the Pathankot Air Force Base, the Jammu Air Force Station, and of course over Sirsa, which again is a large Air Force base, Air Force Station in Udhampur as well. There, the missile, the ballistic missile, the Fatah 2, which is a medium-range missile, it's about 300-400 kilometers range, which Pakistan tried to send in the direction of the national capital. That has been intercepted and that has been brought down in the skies over Sirsa. So there are at least 4 or 5 Air Force stations that Pakistan has tried to attack, Indian Air Force bases that Pakistan has tried to attack over the last 6 hours. In response, India has hit back and it has targeted at least 3 major air bases of the Pakistan Air Force. The biggest one, of course, the Noor Khan Air Base, right in the heart of Rawalpindi. You've also had an attack on the Chakwal Air Base and the Rafiki Air Base. There's also one on a smaller civilian defense airport in Sukur in Sindh. So at least about 4 locations, which are air facilities, have been hit by India, both in drone attacks as well as missile attacks. Again, medium-range missiles that have been launched, air-to-surface missiles. Let me go back to our report. Aman is also joining us. Aman, again, just putting this into perspective for our viewers. So up until last night, till that IMF announcement happened, till about midnight or so, Pakistan was sending these exploratory drones, these probing missions. At least on the first night, none of them seemed to have explosives attached. Last night, there seemed to be explosives with some of those drones. But post-midnight or so, this dramatic escalation by the Pakistani Air Force to try and target specifically some forward Indian air bases, and now India in response hitting back and successfully targeting some Pakistani Air Force air bases. This is now a definitive climbing off the escalation ladder. Put it into perspective for our viewers.
Well, absolutely, Zaka. What government sources just told me that, when we attacked Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, we did not target any military installation. These were all terror targets under Operation Sindoor. It is Pakistan which started off 2 days back, by first attacking our military installations, trying to send these drones, to attack the Jammu airport, the other Bhatinda air station, which was mentioned yesterday in the briefing as well, that Pakistan tried to target. It is Pakistan which started it. But yes, over the last 2 nights, what the drones which were sent by Pakistan were more, as you were correctly saying, not were armed, many were not armed. These was most of an intel exercise to assess the capability of our air defense systems, more like a recce missions, which government sources are saying the real attack was kept off till the IMF bailout happened. Soon after the IMF bailout has happened last night, Pakistan has actually launched its operation by trying to target our air bases, and that is why India has retaliated and done this big strike, especially at the Rawalpindi Air Force Base, because that is a major Air Force base of Pakistan. By attacking that, India has shown its capability that Pakistan should immediately de-escalate, because what Pakistan is doing is actually to escalate the situation by trying to target our Air Force bases, our military stations. India did not do that in Operation Sindoor. Our strike was only against the terrorist infrastructure. But Pakistan, by its response, especially today morning, and this news that a ballistic missile was fired towards Delhi, is an open, I would say, Zaka, proclamation of war by Pakistan. And, India will respond in greater strength now. That is what sources are telling me, that India will not stop now unless Pakistan stops, because we are committed to defend our military installations, and this kind of an attack by Pakistan will be responded very, very strongly. And we'll hear that, Zaka, from the FS at 10 a.m.
All right, so the Foreign Secretary briefing is going to be at 10 a.m. Likely that he will be flanked by both the Indian Air Force and Indian Army officers, the lady officers. Let's try and bring you up to speed with what India has done in response overnight. It has hit multiple air bases. The biggest one, of course, is the Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi, of course, is where the general headquarters of the Pakistan Army is based. This is the heart of the Pakistani Fauj, and it has hit the biggest air base in Rawalpindi, the Noor Khan Air Base. It's also hit an air base in Chakwal, that's also in Punjab. There have been smaller drone attacks in the outskirts of Islamabad. We've had a couple of attacks in Narowal, in Lahore, in Sheikhpura, etc. There's also the Rafiki Air Base in Shorkat, which is in southern Punjab. This has also been hit. So 3 major air bases from Noor Khan and Murid Air Base in Chakwal, the one in Rawalpindi, the Shorkot Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base, and there is a smaller airport, the Sukur Airport in Sindh. So Punjab and Sindh, these are the 2 heartland provinces. They make up for the bulk of Pakistan. Both of those places have been hit. Some of these smaller blasts have been through what they call loitering munitions, these suicide drones, these LMS drones. But some of the bigger attacks on the Air Force stations, we can show that Noor Khan base attack, the Rawalpindi Air Base attack, that was through a major ballistic missile. We're also getting more breaking news. This, of course, in response to what Pakistan has tried to do in India, getting breaking news that there have been at least 3 blasts that have been reported in Udhampur at the military base there. It's again one of our forward bases. There has been some degree of damage. The damage assessment is being done right now. There has been shelling, and this is, of course, keeping the LOC active and hot. There's been massive heavy artillery shelling that's been going on across Surankot, Jammu, Naushera, as well as Rajouri. Let me go across to Ishan with more details on this. So, Ishan, the activity, the heavy artillery shelling is happening now, not just across the LC, but also happening across the international border. Akash has more on that. So, Akash, Udhampur Air Force Station, I believe, has suffered some damage. What the extent of the damage is, we don't know. They're assessing that right now. But more importantly, there's also heavy artillery fire across the international boundary, Surankot, Jammu, Naushera, as well as the Poonch Rajouri sector.
Right, so a ceasefire violation is there, at the LC, but yes, Udhampur was one target, and Manoj Gupta is, reporting, in fact, that how, Udhampur has got hit, in fact, but in fact, there were sounds in the Udhampur, and there we have the headquarters of the Northern Army Command, and that's why it is very crucial place. It was on target, in fact, day before yesterday. In fact, yesterday it was on target, but we have no confirmation of the hit. But yes, 3 sounds have been heard, in fact, from this particular location. Also, Zaka, in Jammu, I'm learning about a civilian location being hit. They are targeting civilian population while the attack on the Air Force Station or the air base was thwarted. I'm learning that in Jammu we have some civilian casualty, possibly, injuries, or I should say, in some time from now we'll have confirmation. But we have air sirens once again here in Jammu. And Zaka, today they are launching the ballistic missiles. We know that how they have Fatah series, which has got 120 kilometers of range, and they possibly have been launching the Fatah missiles. And in fact, there is a plan of further escalation, given the fact that DG ISPR addressed the press conference and said a number of things which in fact have not been confirmed by Indian Armed Forces. At around 10 a.m. we'll be having confirmation. But yes, artillery fire has been going on in Srinagar. The explosive sounds are in fact very much there, in fact have been heard by the locals, and Ishan has been reporting from there. In Poonch area, shelling has been happening at the line of control, where we have reported that how civilian population was targeted, a Gurudwara was targeted. In Rajouri as well.
Akash, just stay on with us. I'm going to come back to you in just 1 second. I want to bring our viewers up to speed and give them a degree of reassurance as well that Pakistan has been attempting to hit multiple Indian Air Force bases, forward air bases, but the good news that I can share with you is that all are safe. There's been relatively minor damage that has happened. No casualties, no fatalities in any of these installations. The Pathankot Forward Air Base, the Jammu Air Force Station, the Udhampur Air Force Station, all are safe. That is the word that we have from top government sources. All three of our forward air bases are safe. All personnel have been accounted for. Whatever minor damage assessment is going on, but all three air bases are safe. Arunima has more on this. So Arunima, that's the big picture. Pakistan trying to attack India's forward air bases. All of them are safe. In retaliation, India targeting some of Pakistan's air bases. The Noor Khan Air Base up in Rawalpindi is one of the biggest that they have in the country, and that has been hit badly. You can see from those pictures. Arunima.
Successfully targeting Pakistan is what we are hearing as well. One must underline that officially at 10 a.m. we're expecting location by location, coordinate by coordinate briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs. Most likely Foreign Secretary will take the podium once again, along with the two officers from the Indian Army and the women officers from the Indian Army and the Air Force. But what we are being told is that even though Pakistan attempted to attack Pathankot, they attempted to carry out attacks in Udhampur and also in Jammu. All these three air bases, the air assets were targeted, but Indian Air Defence managed to thwart all these three attacks at Jammu, Udhampur, Pathankot. No damage done. All our assets are safe. There's no casualty, no injury to any personnel present in the in the air base complex.
All right. Arunima, we'll try and come back to you as you try and, look, reporters are spread all across the country, particularly in some of these points that have been hit or attempted to be hit by Pakistan. There has been cross LC as well as cross IB firing. This is heavy artillery shelling that Pakistan has been undertaking for the last couple of nights at least. In the Jammu, Poonch, Rajouri, that sector, in Surankot, in Naushera, as well as in Rajouri, overnight there's been heavy artillery shelling. Ishan is there with us with more details on that. So just break this down for us. There's been an attempt to hit some of the forward air stations. All of those have been thwarted, but at the same time, Pakistan is also using heavy artillery fire, both across the LC as well as across the IB.
Well, absolutely right, Zaka. Even it started yesterday before the sunset. Generally, they would fire towards Indian positions after sunset, but yesterday they started firing at around 4:30, and then India had to retaliate. This is happening in Uri, this is happening in Keran, Tangdar, Kupwara. Every place in line of control has been impacted by the ceasefire violation. People have been moved, people have been taken out to safer locations and safer shelters, and now we're hearing that the exchange is still happening on the line of control. Look, what we have also heard is that there have been, at least 3 sounds that have been heard in Srinagar, which has woken up people. We're getting messages from people, but we should tell our viewers that there's no need to panic, because there's a lot of panic around after hearing those sounds around Srinagar and other parts as well. As a possibility that they might be also trying to hit India's important assets in Jammu and Kashmir. Yesterday they tried to attack through drones by sending drones to a couple of locations which are very important for the defense forces, but they were immediately the air defense system ensured that they are brought down. Sources told us at least 8 drones were seen around Srinagar, Baramulla and Avantipur, which hosts one of the big air bases of Indian Air Force in Udhampur. So they tried to attack the vital assets.
All right, so Ishan, we'll come back to you. There's some forward air bases, including Udhampur, Pathankot, I believe even Adampur, again in Haryana, which is again a forward air base, has also been tried to be hit. Akash, what are top Ministry of Defense officials, Indian Army, Indian Air Force officials telling you? Clearly, I think Pakistan is climbing the escalation ladder, no doubt about it. That has been the attempt. The attempt has also been to try and target some of India's forward air bases and Air Force stations. All of those attempts have been thwarted by India. India, in response, of course, has successfully carried out major strikes from the Noor Khan Air Base to the Chakwal Air Base to the Rafiki Air Base. Tell us what you're picking up from top defense sources. Like I said, the attempts at the Air Force stations, the forward Air Force stations in Udhampur, in Pathankot, in Jammu and Sirsa, in all these four places have been thwarted by India's air defense systems.
Right, you rightly pointed out the Air Force stations in Jammu and Pathankot specifically are safe, and in fact I'm learning that there is in fact some sort of damage in some civilian infrastructure. We'll get it confirmed by the civilian authorities as well. But till now, all attempts, in fact, have been thwarted. And Zaka, armed forces, in fact, are very much capable and ready. This is what the defense sources are telling us. In fact, at around 10 a.m., we'll get the official word as to what they did, last night, and also what is the sort of, retaliation that they are planning now, given the fact that Pakistan is launching, ballistic missiles and, has shown that they want to escalate it further. Zaka, we have been seeing that how from last 48 hours, in fact, in the last 72 hours, a number of things have happened. Specifically, we talk about the current times. Yesterday, it was happening in the night hours, but today, in the early morning hours, we have been seeing these attacks specifically targeted towards Udhampur and Jammu, because in Udhampur we have one military base, and there, we have constant sounds here. In fact, in Jammu, ballistic missile is what has been tried here in Jammu as well. It was tried for Delhi. It was tried for one location in Haryana, very crucial location in Haryana. I'm not putting out the details right now, but very crucial location is being targeted there in Haryana as well. It has been thwarted, all safe. In fact, as far as the assets are concerned, so all our air assets are safe. In fact, they have been trying, the core headquarters of Leh, I'm told, and in fact, last night it was tried, but it was thwarted once again. Air defense is in play. In Udhampur, we are learning, several, sounds, in fact, but we have no confirmation on the sort of explosions that are being reported from that particular location. In Punjab also, they have been launching their ballistic missiles for Punjab, in fact, especially in Pathankot, also because of the sort of air defense we have in Pathankot. They might have some sort of input of the sort of platforms that we have in Pathankot, and that's the reason why Pathankot is being targeted, and is a very important Air Force establishment there, that we have in Pathankot, and also in Srinagar, Zaka, launches are there. And we have been learning that since ceasefire violation is happening throughout the LC, so army is also, retaliating to that. We are having ceasefire violation in Rajouri, Poonch, Mendhar, and in fact, in Kathua also I'm learning that violation is there. But since we have the international border there, so we are waiting for the confirmation, BSF, whether or not BSF is engaged in any sort of firing, because till now it is limited, more on LC, line of control. In Uri and in, other areas of the Kashmir, we have been learning about the ceasefire violation. But specifically in Poonch, we have this heavy shelling going on.
Okay, I want to bring our viewers up to speed on what Pakistan has attempted to do over the last 6 hours or so. And this is specifically right after the amp up of the IMF bailout announcement that happened. So here are some of our forward Air Force stations and air bases. Udhampur, of course, is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command. Massive military station there. It's the headquarters, like I said. It is, of course, very critical for the entire Jammu region as well as the Poonch-Rajouri region. But Udhampur, there's been some attempt by Pakistan to try and cause damage at the Air Force station there, at the military base there. But that has been thwarted. Also at the Jammu Air Force Station, there has been an attempt by the Pakistanis to try and attack the Air Force Station. Again, I can report to you there is very minimal damage there. The Air Force Station is very much functional. Pathankot is one of our forward air bases, one of the largest in the country. It's on the outskirts of Pathankot city. It is literally on the border with Pakistan. Remember, in 2016, it was the Pathankot Air Force Station that was attacked in a terrorist attack. Of course, that after that attack, India tried to give access to an ISI team for a joint investigation. That investigation really did not go any further. This is a massive Air Force Station, one of the biggest, one of our forward air bases. And then, of course, there is the Sirsa Air Station as well, part of the Western Command of the Indian Air Force. So these 4 installations have been tried to be breached by Pakistan overnight. All of it has been unsuccessful. I can report to you that all of our forward air bases, Air Force stations and military bases are safe. If at all there is minimal damage, assessment of which is being done in Udhampur, which is of course the headquarters of Indian Army's Northern Command. I want to go across to Arunima. So Arunima, paint the picture for us at about 6:30 as our viewers are waking up to this Saturday morning. It seems very clear that Pakistan has attempted to go up the escalation ladder. They want to try and take this to the next level. They've been sending in missiles, they've been sending in drones that are fitted with explosives, trying to take out some of India's air bases. All of those attempts have been thwarted. India, in response, has taken out, I'm given to understand, at least 3 frontline air bases of the Pakistan Air Force. What is the big picture this Saturday morning?
Yes, so the source-based information that we have, first thing first, Indians should just have trust in our defence forces. It's all good, it's all safe. Attempts that were made at Pathankot, Udhampur, Jammu, all attempts thwarted. There was an attempt at misadventure towards the national capital of Delhi as well, over Sirsa. I think even that has been, the Fateh missile has been intercepted. So that national capital is safe as well. But what is it that we have done in terms of retaliatory action in Pakistan? Some details just coming in. What we are being told by sources is that there was a calibrated and purposeful military target hit, and the adversary has got a bloody nose after those 26 locations in India that Pakistan targeted last night as well. The Noor Khan Air Base, it was hit. We have been reporting this since morning, Zaka. The strikes have happened near the vicinity of Joint Staff Headquarters at Chakala as well. So there is source-based confirmation coming to that. The jugular of Pakistan, the 14 Corps with 10 and 11 Division in Lahore, that has been targeted, and we are specifically being told that Lahore was struck because they were trying to strike Amritsar. Of course, our air defence took down the attempts against Amritsar as well, but in retaliation, Lahore was struck. Assets of the 15th Division at Sialkot has been activated, is also what our forces are learning, but they are fully prepared. But Siddhant is also here with me. If you can give me a moment, I want to get in his views. What has happened overnight? The ramifications of it as far as diplomatic quarters are concerned.
Well, Arunima, I look at it. In fact, Zaka was also pointing out they were waiting for the IMF bailout, and there's no doubt about it. There were a lot of international pressure which India could manage to build, on the committee which sanctions it. There is no vote provision there. In fact, India has abstained. IMF has taken note of India's abstention. But how I look at it is in a way that, what they did yesterday was perhaps a recce. This is what I was told. They sent their drones, whether they were armed or they were not armed, I really don't have much idea about it. But 300 and 400 drones were sent just to locate our air defense systems. And perhaps we fooled them again,
yes,
Arunima.
I can add information to that. 500 drones across 24 locations. Most did not have weapon, looked like a surveillance and prodding exercise.
Yes. And, what we really fooled them yesterday. In fact, I was told by top sources in government of India, we even didn't use all our air defense systems. We shot them down with the aircraft guns. This is what I'm being told. That was a recce which they did yesterday. They created a lot of panic. They created a lot of noise around it. In fact, there was to camouflage their operation yesterday night. What they did was they did a press conference. They invited foreign media. In fact, I was going through all that content last evening, or Arunima. So, they kind of said that what India is doing, they kind of, they did spread lie against India in those press conferences. That was kind of a camouflage they wanted to do. But the idea was to struck India today, Arunima, and we thwarted all their attempts. Perhaps what Arunima is reporting for us is that all our bases are safe, and we have hit them harder this time around.
Yes. So that I think the body language, Zaka, I once again want to point out to that Rajnath Singh picture that we got yesterday morning with the 3 service chiefs and the Chief of Defence Staff. The CDS was present, the Defence Secretary was present. That showed, combat uniform, all 3 chiefs were in there, but the body language was confidence, they were smiling, and that is, I think, because they were prepared. They were quite aware of what Pakistan was up to, and they were prepared, and that preparation has held us in good stead early this morning.
All right, so I can also report to you that there was some attempt to try and disrupt the civil as well as the technical airport in Jammu. Those attempts have been thwarted by the Indian air defense systems. Remember, so the big picture is Pakistan has been trying to take out some of India's forward military bases as well as some forward Air Force stations. The attempt has been on some of the biggest ones. Pathankot is one of the biggest and a forward air base that we have. It was also the scene of the 2016 terror attack. That attack has been thwarted. There was some attempt at the Jammu Air Force Station. That has also been thwarted. And then, of course, the Air Force Station in Sirsa, which has also been thwarted. In response, India has attacked the Noor Khan Air Base, of course, which earlier used to be called the Chakala Air Base of Pakistan, one of the biggest just in Rawalpindi, in the heart of the general headquarters, is barely a few kilometers away, the general headquarters of the Pakistan military. So this hits right at the heart of the Pakistani military. But I can report to you that whether it was Udhampur, whether it was Jammu, whether it was Sirsa, whether it was Pathankot, whether it was some of these forward Air Force stations that India has, the attempt by Pakistan has been foiled. India has retaliated in good measure and targeted some very frontline Air Force stations of Pakistan. There has been, of course, increased shelling as well, heavy artillery shelling both across the line of control as well as across the international border. There has been some shelling in some civilian areas in Jammu, but I can report to you, so far at least, there are no confirmations on any civilian casualties yet. Akash is also through with us. Akash, so where you are in Jammu, there's been an attempt to try and hit the Air Force Station there, but that has been negated. What are you hearing in terms of where all India has hit Pakistan, particularly the Noor Khan Air Base, which used to be the Chakala Air Base before, one of the biggest. It's right in the heart of Rawalpindi. It's close to their general headquarters. That would not have gone well. And those pictures, that video, I think somebody there, that's the third picture that you're seeing on the right of your screen, somebody capturing that on your mobile phone saying, Bhaijan, they've hit the Noor Khan Air Base. Just walk us through what India has done in response to this very hot night between both countries.
Right. So Noor Khan Air Base, you rightly pointed out in Chakala of Rawalpindi, near Islamabad, has got critical air assets. Zaka, I was mentioning it earlier that how their transport aircrafts as well as their military fighter jets are very much there. They're operating there, several drones in fact from there. And we have been told that in fact, the air assets in that particular Air Force stations were on target and have been hit successfully. And also, Shorecoat Air Force Air Base, in fact, which is in Punjab, it has got JF-17 Thunder aircraft, F-7PG, and several other air assets as well. It was hit, and in fact, we are not learning about the airstrip, but yes, the air assets was on target, and the target was successfully hit. In fact, we are learning about Murid Air Base, that is in Chakwal of Punjab. This is a smaller air base, but is technically important air base, and we have been told that primarily supports training and secondary operations. And the drone attack that was launched towards India was very much supported from this particular Air Force station, and we have been told that it has got fighter jets and possibly some drones as well, and it was successfully targeted by Indian forces, Indian Armed Forces. So these 3 Air Force stations we have got confirmation for, several air assets, and in fact the infrastructure was on target. target and it was successfully hit by the Indian Armed Forces. Also in retaliation, now Pakistan is trying to make a dent, and in fact is trying to hit our Air Force stations, but they are not successful till now. And our air defense is very much working, 80 guns, and in fact the the systems that we have is very much working. It's the daytime now. We have been seeing the escalation particularly in the night time from last 24 to 48 hours, but will it continue in the daytime as well? What will be the next future course of action as far as India is
Akash,
concerned?
I'm
We'll
sorry
get
to
know in some time
interrupt.
from now.
The image that I'm showing on the left is also from Jammu. It's a civilian area. There is a temple called the Shambhu Temple in Jammu. We're given to understand there's been a projectile that's hit. We don't know if it's a drone or a missile, but a projectile has hit just outside the temple. No casualties. That is the important thing. You can see the remnants of the wreckage there. This is mobile phone footage that's been shot by one of the individuals there. You can see the wreckage that's strewn all over the place. This is called the Shambhu Temple in Jammu. Again, the good news is that there is no casualties there. There you can see the main gate, the pillars leading into the temple. So on the outside perimeter of the temple complex, there's been a projectile hit. Again,